done. And so when we're done with the section, guess what we'll have?
Another section.
No.
A pop quiz.
Not pop.
A quiz.
A quiz. There will be a noun quiz, and I'll of course walk you through all of that, I guess, after we finish possessive, which will be the next one coming up for you all. Wednesday, I would guess? Wednesday? So let's look then at what we're doing today. What do you think we're going to talk about?
I have no idea.
I am sorry that this is green. I hate green.
Wait, really?
Because it doesn't, well, it's my favorite color, green. But it doesn't show up on the darn board that well, does it? Yeah, so guys, I just edited a bunch out for you at home because I had to run and go get this. Okay, pluralizing nouns. Think about that word, right? What does pluralizing mean?
Like with an S at the end.
Kind of, yeah. It means to make what?
Plural.
To make plural. Wow, amazing.
He's insane.
So as we work through this, I'm going to give you a series of rules. 8-ish. In fact, this notice I pulled another one of these. Look how old that is. Windows R, if you have any idea how old that is. Mac OS X. Oh my gosh, it was still using X and not iOS. So, she's pretty close. Marilyn Baker, Miss Marilyn Baker here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it. I'm going to give you some tricks. It does get tricky because it's English. And whenever we talk about rules, what is there always going to be in English?
Exceptions.
Ew, there we go. Exceptions.
Why is that?
Because that's the way our language is with our weird mutt language, as I talked about. There will always be exceptions to rules in English. And some of them I won't have a way to help you. However, if there's anything that you take away from this today, it's going to have to do with rule number 1, which I'll pop up on the board and write down for you. We don't care about that, lady. There we go. This is rule 1. I say it a little simpler than this, but you can look at it. Most plural nouns are formed by adding s to the singular form. So let's make that really easy. If I were going to write that down, just add s, and that's the rule. And one thing I'll also add to that, which I hope we're writing down, because I wrote it down, is when in doubt. If you're ever in doubt as to what the plural version of a noun is, use this one. You'll be right 85% of the time. When in doubt, just add s. So rule number 1 is add s. And when in doubt, use this rule, is what it says underneath. When in doubt, just add s. You could say it too. And this, again, will account for almost every plural noun in English. However, not all of them, and we're going to talk about those and some tricks to help you. And some where there won't be any tricks at all. We got this one down? Pretty simple definition there? All right. Well, you can see the examples. Student, that singular goes to students. Girl to girls, town to towns, friend to friends, right? Easy. Toy to?
Toy.
Oh, hey, look at that, we got it. However, exception starts here with rule number 2. Now you can write all that down, and you should, because it's technical. Words that end in S, X, CH, ZZ, or SH are pluralized by adding ES to it. So if they have these endings, I'll teach you a trick to make this a lot easier than having to memorize all those letter combinations. This. it mostly works. Here's my trick, and I put it right there. So instead of trying to memorize all those different letters, which you can do, if it ends in a sound, if a word ends in a sound that it all sounds like an S, or a Z, or sh, that kind of has an S sound to it, that's when you add ES. Box, rush, boss, buzz, buzz, church, all those have an S-like sound at the end, right? That's the trick. If it has an S-like sound at the end, we add ES to it. That's not technically right, and it doesn't work all the time, but it works 99% of the time. Because it's English. So you should have that down, but if you want to write down my trick, I would definitely do that too. Ready for the next slide? We're good? No? I'll give you a second. The skill of writing notes down faster. All right, let's go to the next one. You don't have to write all those. If you're writing all those examples, that's a waste of your time. Just write the rules. This one's got 2 rules, and this is how this lady did it. Really, rule 3 is bunk. It's not a rule. That's just a normal add S. Right, so I usually skip rule 3, but you can put it down if you want. If it ends in a vowel and a Y, you add S. Well, that's rule 1, isn't it? Right, just add S. So it's rule 4 that really matters here. And so if we look at rule 4, this is something you should have learned when you were a little kid. If that you have a word that ends in a consonant and a Y, change the Y to I and add ES. You remember that whole thing? Change the Y. You did that at all? Change the Y to I and add ES. You never did that? That's crazy town that you didn't do that. You did it? You remember it? So I'm going to call this rule 3 because I'm just going to completely not worry about that one up there she did. And the trick is consonant, then Y. Consonant, then Y. I hope we all remember what a consonant is. I don't want to have to teach that again. So if we have a word that ends in a consonant plus a Y, we change Y to I. And add ES. And you see our examples there, body and berry. They both end with a consonant and then a Y. And we've changed the Y to I and add ES. That's rule 3, if you will, even though she had added a rule we don't need to worry about. Give you a chance to get these down. Got them? Ready for the next slide? All right, so I'm going to erase these up here. Make sure we have this. Consonant plus Y, change Y to I and add ES. That's the same thing it says over there.
How many rules are there?
As I said, I think this slide has 8, though I'm really going to go with 7 because I'm ducking out on number 3 here since it's the same as rule 1. But it's up there because people are saying, oh, it ends in a Y. Change the Y to I and add ES. Well, then look, days becomes something crazy, right? D-A-I-E-S. I mean, you should notice when it looks really nuts to you, when it's crazy, when you see it, that's your brain telling you, I've never seen this word before. And if your instinct says this looks crazy, you probably spelled it wrong. All right, getting rid of it.
Toy.
Though it doesn't help that, like, they misspell things on purpose online now for fun.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So, then there are some weird words. Remember, as I said, exceptions, right? So rule number 5 is kind of a rule, but not really a rule. This one's actually number what, 4, right?
Yeah.
Because we skipped one of those. So I just put 5. As I said 4, I wrote 5. 4. So some words end in F or FE, and we change the F to V and add ES. And some end in F or FE or FFE, and we just add S. Sorry, it's a terrible rule.
It's confusing. Right? It's like the same thing, except one more F, and then you change it to add an M. English.
English.
Can't you just be nice for one?
So the rule is a terrible rule because it's not all the time, but there it is. I wrote it kind of more simply. Some F or FE words change to V and add ES. And you see that with like calf to calves, knife to knives. But it doesn't always work. What's the plural of the word roof? Roofs? No.
Wow.
Roofs. Just that S.
I noticed this is like
So it doesn't always work. That's why it's like some. And the way you tell is if you pronounce it has that kind of v, the V sound, then you know it's the change. You've changed that F to V and added ES. There aren't a lot of FFE words. I don't know why she added that in her example. Just think about F or FE words. Sometimes they change to V and you add ES to F. Sometimes you don't. Can anyone think of another one? Another word that ends in F or FE that we change the F to a V and then add ES at the end? Yes?
wolf.
Wolf goes to wolves. Yes?
Hive.
Hive
Yeah.
is already VE. Anyone else?
No.
Anyone? How about life?
Lion.
Oh, okay. How about wife?
Lion.
Oh, okay.
We don't.
So a lot of them do change. Not all of them do.
Man.
That's the wonderful thing about English.
Yay.
Let's look at what she calls Rule 6, but we're going to call Rule 5. Rule 5, or her Rule 6, is the worst rule ever. And it's talking about words that end in O. Words that end in O. Add S or sometimes add ES. That's the rule. Isn't that a terrible rule?
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally unhelpful. Those are the two endings we're adding anyway. They always end in S or ES. It's one of those where like you just gotta know them. No, it's not. And the worst part about this rule too is that British English spells most of these words differently than American English does.
How do they spell it?
They add a lot more ES's than we do. So a lot of words that we would just add S, they add ES. Same thing with like O versus OU. A lot of their words have OU for no reason, as far as we're concerned in America, but they would say, why'd you leave out the U? Like color is spelled O-U-R in British English, but not here.
So in Australia they add R's to everything.
Well, they sound like they do. It's not actually in the spelling. They just say it. Very common in the northeast of America too. So examples of words like these.
Cheerio. Oh wow.
like taco or tornado.
Taco or tornado.
One of the things that I've noticed for a lot of these is if it sounds kind of like a foreign word, especially like Spanish, for instance, like taco, there are a lot of just add S
Tacos, tornados.
to make it plural because that's what the Spanish do.
That's a good restaurant name.
Now other words, not so much, and some you're not going to know. You've just got to look at it and say, which one looks right?
What if they both look
Right?
wrong?
If they both look wrong, I'm sorry. And that's really the problem with these, is that it just is a matter of seeing a lot of them, and I can't give you every O-ending word in English. But if you look at a word like piano spelled E-S, does that look strange?
No, yes.
It should, because it's not an ES word, it's just an S word.
Next one.
Careful back there. I don't need a face. But then you have words like potato, which has an ES ending. Questions? Okay. Let's look at our second to last rule here. I'm going to erase this. I hope we have these. Is my iPad still recording or did it die? Still going? Awesome. We'll see. It's going to be a long video to get on YouTube. All right, so remember this is actually number 6 because we skipped that one. This is a simple rule that doesn't help you that much either. Some don't change. And that's what I'll write. Some nouns don't change. And what I like about her is that she doesn't do this at all, and then here she does it. She gives you a hint, the same hint I was going to give you. And the hint is, these are usually herd animals or flock animals, and grains or crops. So things that are already in groups. But not always. She uses sheep. There's one sheep or a lot of sheep. What about deer? What's the plural of deer?
Deer.
It's deer. What's the plural of cow?
Cows.
Cows. They're a herd animal, but we still put the S on. Why? I don't know. Plural of horse.
Horses.
Horses. Oops, that has an S on it. Plural of buffalo.
Buffalo. Buffalo.
Buffalo. All right, so that's a herd animal that does get, or does stay the same. Yes, ma'am.
What about some of the animals, like bison? Was that?
Bison. Bison is plural. What about fish?
Fishes.
Nope.
No fish.
Fish. School of 100 fish, we say. Fishes is used all the time, but it's a weird thing because in that case you're talking about different groups of fish, which is totally different and weird.
Plural. Platypus.
Platypus, that's an interesting one. So there's a rule in here that we're not getting into, which is U.S. words, and some words that end in U.S. have a Latin root, in which case their plural is I. Cactus, cacti. However, in English, American style, the dictionaries have started saying things like cactuses is acceptable. Fungus becomes fungi. However, I've heard funguses now becoming acceptable. So I don't know. English changes.
I looked it up
English
on the internet
changes.
and it is platypi.
Is it platypi? I bet platypuses is
It's
correct
also
too.
exceptional.
Wonderful. Notice there's also grains like corn or rice or wheat. You don't say I'm eating a bowl of rices, right? Or I'm eating a bunch of corns. That's a whole different word. That means you're eating a bunch of weird growths on people's feet, which are corns. Otherwise, you're eating corn on the cob or off the cob. So grains, rice, wheat, corn, that kind of thing, and herd animals. Yes?
Why should we have a picture of an animal?
I don't know. It's because she's like, well, I'm going to teach nouns in fall, and I'm going to pick pictures of some weird duck thing in the fall, and I've got flowers. And I thought, how much time did you waste doing that when you could do something else? Does everyone have this rule, more or less? It's the rule that it's not really a rule, but some don't change, and the hint is a lot of times it's herd animals and grains. Right? They're already plural, but not always. Yay! English. Number 7 is our last one. She has it as 8. Remember, we're off. When some nouns are made plural, they become a new word with an internal change. So, how do I write that a lot more easily? How about some change a lot? Is that a better way to say that? Some change a lot. They can become a completely new word, either internally or on the end too. It's not just internally, and I don't know why she does that. Because what is the plural of child?
Children.
Children. Right? We add, for some reason, R-E-N on the end of child. I don't know why. I haven't looked that up. I know there's a reason, but I don't know why. So some words change a lot. I can't help you on which ones these are. We call these irregular because they're not normal. Irregular, not regular. And you just have to know them. Like mouse becomes mice. Anyone think of another irregular noun that changes completely? Yeah? Huh? Goose to geese? Yeah, it's up there. Man to... Well done, you've read the other one up there. How about one that's not up here? Come on, help me out. Another weird, irregular one that changes. Think about the different nouns you know. Ooh, we got one.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, never mind. No, that's not. That don't work. Don't make me do it.
Woman.
Woman to.
Woman.
Okay, so we say women, but it's spelled W-O-M-E-N. So we pronounce it even different. Woman, one woman with an A-N. Women. Still spelled the way, except we've now put man to man at the end. Which is crazy. We even pronounce it differently. That's English.
That's English.
That's English.
This is how much I wrote. I think I wrote a little bit more than necessary. Half a page.
How about this one?
I wrote more than
What's the itchy thing you can get in your hair that makes you freak out? Your parents? Lice. What's the singular of lice? Because lice is
I
plural.
was going to say dandruff.
Lice.
Nope. The singular of lice.
Lices?
Nope. Singular. Lice is a plural.
Lice.
Nope.
Louse.
What?
Louse.
Louse. Think mouse. Louse is the singular of lice.
Because they're louse.
There's one louse or multiple
Lice.
lice. Sometimes people used to use that as an insult. They'd say, "You're a louse."
And they say you're a lousy louse.
Which basically means you're gross. Which would have been the thing, because lice are gross things.
What is the plural word of that?
Plural of, it's louse is singular.
No.
Plural is lice.
So, the lice.
Lice is plural. Like mice is plural. Imagine having a bunch of mice crawling in your head, but you only have one
Head.
mouse in your head. Right. Same with louse and lice. Alright, that's all the rules. That's how you pluralize nouns. Which means there are some good rules and some that aren't even really rules.
My dad said a praying mantis on his head.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Praying mantis, what's the plural of that? So I'll give you your IXL. At home, people, I'm going to leave you now and heavily edit this video because it's really long. And then work on your IXL.